totem pole usually winds up with it, whether he knows it or not. So I'm just curious. All right, is anybody here today from Hillsborough Ministerial Alliance? None. Tom, we'll get to it. I'll ask you to do the invitation, if that's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got just a couple of sticks in second hand to start. But since we're all up, let's get up. We're being recorded now? Good deal. All right, well, at this time, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Hill County Commissioners Court this 25th day of April 2023. Let the record reflect it is 8:30 a.m. We're in the Hill County courtroom and a quorum of commissioners is present and established. This meeting was posted in accordance with Texas Government Code 551, better known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. And Paul, did anybody sign up to talk online? This meeting is being broadcast both online and being held in person, but we did not have anybody to sign up under our rules of decorum to speak before 8 a.m. this morning. So at this time, Mr. Henry, can you lead us an invocation?
Father, thank you for the privilege of meeting together. We ask that you just preside this meeting, Lord, give the commission wisdom. Lord, we ask you to be with all of our persons, Lord, as they put themselves on the way. And Lord, we just pray that you would just bless this day and just, Lord, for the rain that's coming, let it just meet the need that's here. Lord, we thank you for it, Jesus.
Amen. Thank you. If you follow me in the pledge of America to the second flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the United one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you all for being with us this morning. Grab a seat, make yourself comfortable. Oh, boy. Commissioner Lake, what's going on in Hill County Precinct 4 this week?
Well, today we're opening up the last of the new bridges. Hopefully we don't have to build this.
I would hope so.
We pretty well exhausted our funds on bridges, so.
I think we're going to talk about loaning you some money to get down the road, I imagine.
Oh, yes, we're gonna need some. So there's 300 and about 25,000 we've had to spend on bridges so far this year. And I hope nothing else falls in or just, maybe the state won't come by, maybe they'll stay down in Scotty's area and condemn his bridges.
If they condemn anything else, it's going to stay condemned till next budget year. So
Yeah.
anyway, Mr. Hawkins, what's going on Precinct 3, sir?
Same, we've got the brush all
Okay, good deal.
wrong.
You'll get much rain out of this last storm?
6, 7 tenths.
Okay, not too shabby then.
Nice little rain, all right. Like Tom said, next rain falls. Right.
Yeah.
Crazy is, I mean, the other part, we got an inch and a half. I mean, I'm surprised. We just have several rains, I mean, just south of Hillsborough. It's good. We don't want this to be.
Mr. Crumpton, what's happening in Hill County Precinct 2?
The rain was a blessing, but we need some rain with some runoff in it. You know, tanks and ponds are low, Aquila is low,
Aquila is usually low.
Holland Rock, still patching weak spots, and then we're going back now and try to rework some of the recycled asphalt we got back last summer
Okay.
and trying to get it set back down and sealed off to keep it from road boarding, but good luck on that one. But staying busy.
Good deal. Sheriff, what's going on in your world?
Cycle we've been building this for a while, but doing more interviews.
Good deal. Good deal. Ms. Cook, what's happening in Indigent Health this week? Great. Okay, have you heard anything further from our jail administrators of the ACH, what are they, automated correctional healthcare? I can't remember. Advanced correctional, thank you. ACH, what we're going to call it now. Yeah, as long as you're getting access to the records, you're getting access to the, okay, good deal, getting what you need. All right. Philip, what's happening in IT?
EPT and also trying to work with support from the state for the government department, trying to get phone numbers of all the agency facilities coming in the building. That's going to be on the wall, 15-foot feet. So it's a coordinated effort. You know, a couple of large entities, so that's fun. we have ordered some additional access points to go into jail.
Okay.
It's gonna help expand the zoning roads that are used.
Oh, okay.
To get on the radio system. So it should be delivered today, hopefully, we'll get those installed next week or two, and so you better stay on the jail for that.
Good deal, good deal. All right, I like that. All right, wonderful. Don, what's going on in your world?
Good, right, this week, kind of watching the weather, we got a possibility today, severe storms, and we're beginning for the water, severe storm. You know, one of the things that we got knowledge of, last Friday, we went to Belton, and for the annual meteorologist conference that we have with the weather service and everything. We're going into an El Nino this year. And they're predicting a 2015 dry event for the summer, but we all know what happened.
They're predicting a dry event, huh? Yeah, no,
It was,
let that cut fast for me. I'd rather not do that again, but
we're just. Now, listen, unless the weather patterns change, I mean, we're looking at possibly a really dry summer.
okay, good to know. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for brightening my whole day with that information. So, Chris, what's going on with radio administration?
We just finished onboarding Hillsborough.
Okay.
Live last week. They have a couple of things we're gonna do this week, but we won't part of it. All the police fire and EMS is now on the radios.
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad to hear it. Yes, sir.
Greg, tell them about the stats that you brought. I think that's in.
So that was for later.
Okay, we can do it later.
Well, we'll talk about it later. It'll be good. He's putting you on the spot there. All right. Well, from our end, construction wise, we've got some engineers meeting out at the AgriLife building. Out at the fairgrounds this morning at 9:30. That meeting's to determine what to do about a slab is settled. We're told by both our engineers and our construction agent that everything was done to what it should be, but somehow it's settled. So they're bringing the architects, the engineers back out to look at that. Covington Street moves forward. They're trying to get some form to pour the concrete around the backside of the building. Once that's done, they're in the process right now of demoing out where ag extension used to be over there. We've had some issues we're working through with Encore regarding electricity, but they hope to have that resolved this week sometime. I saw an email yesterday between Encore and the builder McKinstry, and they seem to be getting the communication down a little better than they had in the past. So that's a good thing. For us, it's it's still in the middle of planting time out here, ladies and gentlemen. You're out on the road. Watch, those farm to market roads got tractors on them. They got planters on them. And I think that the news of the last couple of weeks, while we're talking about being on the road, we have to impress upon people the necessity of when you see an emergency vehicle, you see any kind of vehicle stopping on the road, side of the road, stop and slow down. We're losing too many lives. Too many people getting killed because of carelessness, and we're not taking just a few minutes to pay attention to our surroundings and those around us. And I've been guilty of fast driving in the past. I know most people have. I'm just asking you, for goodness sakes, we got a lot of people that volunteer out there. They don't get paid for it, but they're putting their life at risk. And we just unfortunately had to bury another Hill County firefighter last Friday because of that. So, that paying attention, don't cost much, but it can cost a lot if you don't. So anyway, with that being said, otherwise, we're moving on fairly well this week. Got a lot of good things happening in the county. The Evergreen kickoff meeting, that is the salary survey people. They're going to help us with that. That's later this week. The treasurer has set that up. So happy to see that moving forward. We have been talking and visiting other facilities in different counties. We know that we need administration offices for the sheriff. We know that we're undersized. We also know that we need to do something in Penelope at some point about putting the JP offices. So we've been talking to folks, looking at ideas, what's worked for some counties, what worked in other. I think the next step at this point is to bring back some possible recommendations for engineers or ideas of what we like, and then go out and solicit bids or proposals for engineers. I think we need to move now, make plans now, even if we're not going to build this year or next. It just takes time to get everything knocked out right. So let's get started on it now. All right. Is any other elected or appointed official got anything they want to share with us today? If not, at this time, I'll open the floor to open forum. This is opportunity. If you got something you want to talk to about the court, it's not on the agenda, please feel free to do so. We'd ask that you limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes in duration. And as we respect you, please show respect to the court. Okay, so no takers on that. What we're gonna do is work right along here into our consent agenda. You got an email yesterday from the treasurer's office, and on it, there was the minutes, the invoices and payrolls. We're gonna take action on minutes as well, the monthly report of revenue and disbursement, and observe and record training for elected officials. Y'all started something, because I can't remember a time that Scotty Hawkins has filed his certificates. Now, I know that he's been going to education for years. So that one's special. Frame that in the shadow box. So if there's no, you saw him there? What'd you pay you to say that? All right.
I think
So-
I'm just trying to let you know that he showed up.
Oh, he showed up. He showed up.
So he could get his motel paid.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, if there's no objection, or I don't hear anybody making one, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Motion second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Are there any questions? If not, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. You'll notice the accounts payable invoices were quite sizable this time. I've been going up through that this morning, quite a bit on there. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Pass all the orders around now. That way we won't get too far behind. As we jump along into our court orders today, number one was discuss and or approve employee wage status changes. So for the wage status change for this date, we have Gary Melson is removed as drone pilot and FTO skills pay. We've got Justin Latine is a step raise for successful completion of field training. Congratulations, sir. Christine Holt is being promoted to CID sergeant. Congratulations, Ms. Holt. Michael Horton Alanis is successfully completed his field training and obtained a permanent JRO license. Good job. And then we come to terminations. We have Chloe Dumas has moved on from the sheriff's office. And there was one more, but I got the paperwork in late, and that is Kenny Robertson with the maintenance department has also moved on. So wish all those people the best of luck. All right, any questions over the wage status changes?
Second.
Motion second to approve the wage status changes for the 25th day of April 2023. Any discussions, corrections, concerns? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. All right, number two would be approved. Okay, don't even have to worry about that. Number three is discuss and/or action on selling fireworks for the Memorial Day holiday. Gentlemen, you know that there's three times that we can sell, the state says they can sell. And then there's a couple of permissive holidays. We've been asked if we, in our authorities commissioners court, would approve selling fireworks for the Memorial Day holiday. And anybody here want to speak on that? Go ahead and announce your name for the court. And yes, sir.
Fourth of July season. As you know, we got a little bit different weather this year. That's like, we would like to sell, that helps everybody. All the small vendors and stuff, there's all the educational schools and sell. So, we're asking permission to sell as always. If you go into the drought season, we're gonna honor the government code, plus anything extra we can do to mitigate any fires. And I think we've showed that during the 4th of July season that it's possible to and still keep everybody happy. So we appreciate y'all letting us open up more of that.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it, Mr. Irwin. Any questions for Mr. Irwin? You guys thoughts on selling fireworks on Memorial Day?
It's green right now.
It's not the best I can
Make a
say.
motion, we approve it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the sale of fireworks in Hill County, Texas for the Memorial Day holiday. That sale period, is it 7 days or 10?
It starts on.
Okay, I remember it's pretty truncated, pretty short.
5 days.
5 days. Okay, good deal. All right. Well, that is the motion. There is a second. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion will carry. Number 4, discussion and action on budget amendments. I have a budget amendment here, and what this is what we're talking about. But precinct 1, I previously spoken with him, spoke with the auditor's office. This is 2 precincts, 1 and 2 owned a vehicle together, and 1 is buying 2 out. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the price tag is the $40,000. It's getting
Portion.
Yeah, it's a portion.
A portion.
Yeah, it was really quick to come out.
Yeah.
Clear that up, huh?
You said a portion?
A portion.
Oh, I thought you said a portion.
He said a portion this into my budget, I think is what he told me. That's
That's in a portion.
what I heard.
It's good for a portion.
How do we accomplish anything around here? All right, construction material, we're gonna subtract 40,000 out of Road and Bridge One construction material. We're gonna add that to capital outlay. Then that capital outlay from Road and Bridge One is going to be taken out and it's going to be added to Road and Bridge Two sell of fixed assets is the proposal.
Have that put in construction.
Well, it's one more step. We can do that if you guys want to. So I'm gonna scratch my nasty old handwriting on this thing. So it's gonna go into 202. R&B 2. Construction materials.
Construction materials.
That's 3105. So it's gonna be 202-5-7101. 7101 3115. 7102 3115. All right, gotcha. All right, and then that's and so instead of putting it in the sell of fixed, do we want to account for it in sell of fixed assets or just put it straight, allocated straight into his construction material fund? Okay, good. Let's do that. So we'll just take, instead of moving to sell of fixed assets, we're going to allocate it to 20, the construction materials lines. So anyway, that is confusing, but that is the proposed budget amendment.
No. Make a motion to approve.
Motion and second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. Number 5 is urban report, monthly report from fee officers. Mine seems to have disappeared if there's one in here. Yes, I didn't see that. So. Number 6, discuss and or action accepting, rejecting bids to purchase Hill County supplies, including unlimited to on-site, off-site fuel for Hill County Precinct 2 and 3. If you recall, last time we unfortunately had miscommunication with the vendor and we wound up with no on-site fuel for Precinct 2 and Precinct 3. So that was a bit of an issue. We received one bid that's from Dixie LP Gas. And they are bidding for both Precinct 2 and Precinct 3. They say the following: for transport delivery is 5 cents a gallon over rack price, for bobtail delivery 25 cents a gallon over rack price. That's to Aquila or Bynum. We need to change this sheet to reflect Penelope in the future. So anyway, that's independent oil company. And then they're saying gasoline and diesel, if you pump it from the vendor location out here, it's 15 cents a gallon over rack price either way. The same for your offsite fuel management. That's just 15 cents a gallon over rack price for any of your regular unleaded, your on-road or your off-road diesel if bought out there at the fuel site. So, and then they had their compliance with state and federal laws. They had the certificate of eligibility and they had their 1295 and they have the resident certification. So their paperwork is in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and a second to approve the bid from Independent Oil Company to provide on-site and off-site fuel services to Hill County Precinct 2 and Precinct 3. Okay, that is the motion. That was a second. Okay, any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Number 7 is the Chris. Both of us same time, motion to cover both of them. I mean, if you want to clarify it, we can, but okay, cool. Well, at this time, we're going to hear from the radio administrator because we have a request for funding request modifications for the radio system. Chris, what you got for us?
So, before I tell you the amount of money I'm about to ask for, I want to tell you that in the past 45 days alone, that's not the entire life of the radio system, but just in the last 45 days, it just shows how much everyone is shifting to this new radio system. In the last 45 days, there have been 108,441 transmissions on the radio system. Between that, that's over 75 hours of just over the air time that it's used. So currently it's being used by Come to Fire was on it from the beginning. They were our first more so beta testers outside of the sheriff's office. They went around the county, helped us do coverage checks and all that kind of stuff. Now they're on the agenda today to be a full primary user. Yeah, Hillsborough that's on it. The county was on it. Commissioner Holcomb is about to have all of his guys on it. Commissioner Lake has all of his trucks and he's about to have a handheld as well for his guys. It's becoming widely used across the county. We have schools that have asked for information on it. I haven't heard more from that yet, but I know they have information. So in the past 45 days, we have been working with countless partners, ever from when we originally asked, months ago, we asked for options and we went with Encore. And that has been a very snail-paced progress, but it has been progress nonetheless. And with that progress, we ordered an excessive amount of equipment for their tower. They had a structural analysis done that found that the tower is out of structural compliance when we put our equipment on it. It's in compliance with their equipment, but out of compliance once they do add the added load of our equipment. So there's some costs associated with that to retrofit the tower to make it in compliance. We also have the installation and the purchase of the microwave links that give us the connection between the half loop we have to make it a full loop of redundancy. So that way, if the Laguna Park tower goes down and the Huron tower's up, it can still make that full circle. We don't lose any of our connectivity between. The other part that we found in the past 45 to 60 days is there's a huge, significant public safety flaw in our current mapping of the system, and that's the sheriff's office has to have a link to one of the towers and the core 24/7, and that's for their dispatch console. And what's not in here that I found out the other recently is also because the jail is on Beam, which is a cell phone application that they're using in the jail, which was an incredible cost saving. Besides, it's easier for them. But we need a microwave link between the EOC and the sheriff's office. That gives us the redundancy of the paths. So if the link from the sheriff's office to the main tower fails, we already have a link from this Hillsborough tower to the EOC. So adding a link between the EOC and the sheriff's office gives us that backup path to keep everything online. We already do have some infrastructure in place. There's the AT&T fiber. We've tried it. Daily Wells Communications spent, I think, 2 days setting it up, and it failed. We asked AT&T to look into it. AT&T said they didn't find any issues. It could be a bandwidth, but there's not enough bandwidth on it. But either way, we tried that. It failed. We've also looked into private partners as far as not going with Encore. Looking at going renting space at a tower. There's a ginormous tower just south of Blown. That's a Crown Castle tower. They wanted, and it's seen around there. It was $2,500 a month, and that was just for the space in their building. That did not. We had to provide our own power connections. We had to provide our own backup generator, and that was also dependent upon availability of the space, depending upon how it also adjust the price. Whereas Encore is only charging us $200 a month, equating to, I think it was $2,400 a year. And they even said, well, that's if they even bill us. That was what they put in the contract, but they don't know if they're going to bill us. So overall, we're asking $50,000, and 40 of that is actually allocated to be spent on something. 10,000 of that is a reserve item in case there's some crazy expense that comes up in between the four. The other part here, $10,000 of that expense is because Encore is the electric provider and they have a restriction on vendors. NextLink, who we partner with for a lot of different things, isn't able to do the microwave link installations. And we have to use a Encore vendor, TFI. They have a sole, they're the only person that can climb Encore towers. And if you look at this one quote for this arm, it's the parts and materials, $5,800. Labor, $10,000. So they're very proud of their guys' work. So they're the only ones that can do the installation of the microwaves. And so that was almost a $10,000 cost in that amount.
Frank Castle came back, exactly.
And like for them, you can't go and buy, you know, if we found a generator that we wanted to use that was, you know, $100. You have to get your generator through them or get a brand that they approve.
I guess the other option that we looked at too was building our own
Yeah.
tower. And you know, you're talking about a pretty sizable tower. This ain't 150. You're north of 250,000-300,000 to build it, then the ongoing maintenance cost, and that's not, you know, just including the land we'd need as well. Our ongoing maintenance costs, the best deal financially is still the Encore tower, and it covers the gap over there, it covers the hole that we have in the system. But at the end of the day, ain't none of it cheap. Ain't none of it going to be cheap. But this will be the last tower that we can add to this part of the system. I will tell you, there's a hope in the future if we can get certain grant monies to expand the southern end of the county of Penelope further. But that's simply, it works now. It's just better coverage inside of school buildings because we've had some expressed interest from, you know, several schools in that part of the world that would like to be able to use a radio system inside a building. But there's also some other things going on in McLennan County. The DPS is paying to put a tower up at Tours, some other stuff that might be a possibility. But for right now, this is the last major expenditure that I see on this project. Everything going forward, we're going to go back to getting grant funds for. It just, there's no grant funds available at the moment.
And I don't know if we've told the court yet, so next week, I can't express the value partnership that Tom was developed with them. So when Tom originally started this project, they gave us, you know, I'm not gonna say the bill of goods, but they gave us a guarantee of a product. That product failed tremendously. I mean, to the point to where we spent almost 20 man hours one day up here working on the radio system because it was down. And they realized the deficiency in the equipment, that it wasn't up to par, and they are putting the bill to replace every single one of our existing microwave links for a price of the Cambian, and the price of this new one, Aviat, is $8,100. And I know Cambian was over half that cost. So they are putting an expended amount of money to put our system back to what it may guarantee us it would be. So we're in the process of doing that, and this, the equipment that's listed in here that we're asking the money for is the new Aviat as well. It's supposed to be, I would say the best of the best, but very good.
We have a total amount, what this thing cost us.
About 1.3 and change right now. Of which most, all every bit of it's been grant funds. But I mean, seriously, we've got the original $1.1 million cost. That was ARPA funds. Then there's a $250,000 for the payout for the next system. That was from the state and local federal SLFRF. I can't remember the acronym, forgive me, that we've got. And then the first native expenditure we're going to have on this project out of taxpayer budget that's not grants would be this request. Yeah, without grant money, we'd never pulled this off. We'd still be on that old dilapidated VHF system.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
All right. There's a motion to approve an expenditure of $50,000. I would propose that we pay it out of the non-departmental capital outlay line where we've been paying most of our construction costs out of lately for these construction projects. That's motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion. I think what I'm hearing here is this is the last time you're coming back for money. So, all right, motion in a second. If there's no further discussion, I think this is important for the county to continue to improve our communications for our public safety. You know, we operate with fewer people than we'd like to in certain places, and having the ability to talk and have backup is huge. So with that being said, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to carry. Thank you, Chris. So while you're up there, we don't have, okay, discussion or action memorandum of understanding with the city of West for mutual aid radio access. And this is going to be the same kind of same agreement that we have previously agreed to with I guess, City of Hillsborough.
No,
No? What is-
mutual aid agreement is at no cost, that we don't, the county doesn't get any, like, this is solely for if they're in our county working with us, for us, then they can talk to us.
Okay,
This is just simply giving them access to the radio system and us being able to put in all their information.
okay. I don't see a downside to it, other than we're gonna spend a little bit of administrative time doing this. Okay. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, I guess that's the kind of good question of whether or not the court wants to, like, because so we have two different templates that the court has approved. One's an MOU where there's no funds in exchange from either party, and then one's an interlocal agreement or contract. And that's where, I guess, the Hillsborough, the Covington Fire that's on the agenda of the city of Whitney, where the county actually charges them access.
So are these guys gonna be using, Whitney's gonna be using their radios in their city, and are they gonna have access to our system? I mean, obviously it's that
Whitney
city.
is using Hill County radio system on the radios they purchased, but the city of West in McLennan County is using their radios on the McLennan County system, but
Okay.
having our channels in their radio, so that way, if we ask for their assistance in Hill County or
Okay.
come into our county, they have, that's being.
So-
Johnson County, or any other county that has this system. Do we need this?
It is up to the entity. They have, like Johnson County, Ellis County, they have not prompted us to do a formal MOU like this. It's just been an exchange of emails or a gentleman's agreement, essentially, hey, don't think our system. Talk about it as we need to.
I like the idea of having things reduced to writing. You know, we understand what our responsibilities are, what our duties are. At the same time, I'm going to tell you, the more of these that we have in place when we go out for grants, especially for this radio system, it shows it's a regional asset more than just Hill County relies on it. Other people do too. I just want to clarify for everybody that, you know, we signed an agreement with Whitney, we signed an agreement with Hillsborough. Those are actually using our radio system on a daily basis. Therefore, they pay into it. This is simply a mutual understanding agreement between us and an entity outside of the county that uses a different radio on a daily basis. But God forbid they should have to come and respond to something up here if they have access to our radio system immediately.
35, we're gonna be.
Yeah, you guys have lots of parades nowadays, it seems. So on occasion.
Bosque County, Broward County, Johnson County, Ellis County, what?
I think Johnson County, I'm sorry, Bosque County, they've still on the VHF system. We do have interoperability with those folks, specifically how we designed our system. We have the VHF interface, so we can still talk to them. But yes, going to this new system, I think is important that, you know, if the entity wants to, that we get into a written agreement with Ellis, with Johnson, with Limestone, with McLennan, anybody that touches Hill County. That way we can show that we've got the memorandum of understanding.
If we were to do this with the other county, can that aid us in getting a better grant or more money?
I think so. I think it helps us because, you know, these grants are scored on points. You
We're
get,
aiding other counties.
yeah, you get X number of points for this, X number of points for that. So by showing that we have aid agreements, mutual aid agreements with other entities, yes, I do believe it increases our chances or increases our score on certain grants. So. But it's just good policy to know who you're working with. Now, that's not to say if you're in our county in a time of emergency and we need your help, we're turning everybody on the radio. That's all there is to it. It's just, I think that it's important in these times of peace that we put in some agreements so everybody knows how they need to conduct their business. So before us then is a discussion action on memorandum of understanding with the city of West for mutual aid radio access. Is this not the same one?
This is the original.
Oh, that's original. Okay. And
Make a motion through.
motion and a second to approve. There we go. And we have the city of West has countersigned already, Mayor Tommy Musta. So any further questions, discussion, action, commentary? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry unanimously. All right. Oh, yeah, I know. All right,
I
so.
think it's a good thing we've got Chris. I don't think Tom pissed it up.
Oh. It is brutal. All right. So number 9 is discuss an action on contract with Encore for tower lease. We don't have it back for them yet. We're in negotiation, talking with them. So understanding the previous vote for the implication purchase, I'd like to ask the Commissioners Court for the authority to negotiate a contract with Encore for this tower lease. We're back and forth with them, back and forth. We think we know what it's going to look like. We don't have a final confirmation email from them yet. So I can't say, here's the lease at the moment. I don't know if they're going to make changes to it. I can show you what Chris has, which is the proposed lease, and what you guys have, a communication system agreement. But again, we're not at that point where I have the final document in my hands. Just asking, hey, if you have the ability to negotiate this.
Is that gonna be the one that's $200 a month?
So, this is the finalized lease or agreement they gave us. It was finalized between both parties. They had gone through the judge, had gone through Mr. Holmes, had gone through their legal. And then that's when they got the analysis back, and there was a change in the dollar amount, which they included in the lease, was a reimbursement to Encore for the upfit of the tower, essentially. So when they got that new dollar amount, they said, okay, well, we're gonna change it, and that was almost 2 weeks ago. So we're hoping to simply get it approved as is, unless it's being able to give the judge the ability, so it could come back in a matter of days, or it could be next week.
Yeah.
We don't know when we're gonna get.
So you need a motion for you to action.
Yes, so what I'd like to do is I'd like the court, I can make a motion that the Commissioners Court of Hill County allow the county judge to negotiate and execute a contract with Encore for tower lease on the general guidelines laid out in the draft copy.
Make a motion, let you to contract with Encore.
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion.
Come back with one.
You can if you want to, wasn't planning on it, but I'm happy to.
I'd like to see the $200 or.
You know, we've got some parameters here, no doubt. We can have it come back before the court. No, but I understand. I wasn't gonna pay but half that out of your budget, so I mean, it'll be all right.
So can we ask that, so I have the draft. If we can submit the draft and then preface it on, it's approved, and we don't have to come back as long as the monetary amount involved in the document doesn't change. Sure. That's okay.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I just don't know what they're gonna do, and I hate to represent they're gonna go one way or the other until I see the final document.
I think the big issue comes down to the dollar amount monthly is not the issue.
It's a tower.
We're putting 2 4-foot satellite dishes on the side of the tower. Y'all know how the wind goes around here, and I mean, they needed to add another set of guidelines to this tower so that it can handle that twisting side load on that tower. That's why all this is about. I understand why we're doing it, it's frustrating, but I think the only difference in price in that contract was the fact, and Chris has reported that in the original contract, we were paying them $10,000 anyway. And they've taken that out and renegotiated that to 16 for the whole project. So they couldn't fair, they were slow.
Yeah, they've treated us well. I give them that. They've treated us very well. I can't say enough about Ignacio Vasquez and his folks, and they've been over backwards to help us in this thing. Yeah, nice guy, huh? Yeah, so, okay, so the motion in the second table was authority for the county judge to negotiate a contract with Encore for the purpose of a tower lease that, is within the confines of the current draft document. But if you guys want to bring that back to Commissioners Court, we can do it. The only reason I was trying to avoid it is having that come up again 2 times in a row. May 9th is going to be a heck of a meeting anyway. So, yeah.
Chris said, I think it's keeping those parameters.
Yeah. So what we'll do then is just predicate all the motion upon if the monetary amount is same as it is in this draft document today and the numbers you've been given today. If it varies from that, then we'll bring it back to the board. Is that okay? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Number 10, discussion action of radio contract with Covington Fire Department. And this is communication system agreement. It's in the form that we have previously approved. It looks very similar to some other documents that we've already signed. This particular one is countersigned by the Covington Volunteer Fire Department. I was about to throw the wrong name out there, so. Questions about this communication system agreement?
Just first fire department, just bought the radios and everything.
Yes.
Well, good.
Yeah, no,
We've got other fire departments in the fall, right?
I think this is the first though.
No, so Covington Fire Department bought the radios and all their members have it. The only other fire department in the county that has access to it is Fire Fire. It's one firefighter. He went out and purchased his own radio because he said, I'm not waiting. for everyone else."
Wow.
So look at paying us the per radio per month.
They will, so that's I asked them to do this to, let's say, protect the county, so they have 26 radios. The ESD, as of right now, is only going to be paying or providing 5, so that way the other 21 of their radios, they're on the hook for it.
Okay. I mean, I hate that we got a chart, but the reality is it's expensive to do these things and we need help from our other entities and other partners offsetting the cost of this. But again, we are the lowest price around us, as far as I can tell, for the same deal. And we're just trying to cover our cost of administration with this. So, all right. Motion is second to approve a communication system agreement between Hill County, Texas and Covington Volunteer Fire Department. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed, any abstention, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Got it in here.
You do?
Yeah, you gave me a copy. I think so. Okay, we'll throw it over here then. Extra piece of paper ain't gonna kill anybody. One more thing for Nicole to sort through later.
Just about the job.
No, ooh, again. Number 11, observe and record the Hill County Child Protective Service Board Treasurer's Report for March of 2023. I have in front of me the Hill County CPS Board Treasurer's Report for March of 2023. They've had some expenses. Let me see what we've got going on here. Still got a pretty solid balance in the bank. They're looking at assets between their checking account, savings at 2 different banks of $39,982.63. They have had expenses in the amount of $13,989 for this month. The largest majority of that's clothing. It goes to clothing. You know, these kids get removed in some situations where they leave with nothing but the clothes on their back. And so this board we have tasked with making sure to take care of those children. But anyway, another good report from Hill County CPS Board.
Make motion approved.
Motion is second to observe and record the Hill County CPS Treasurer's Report for March 2023. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Number 12, discuss and approve a road repair and use agreement between Hill County, Texas and Hill Solar One LLC. So Hill Solar One is a group that's coming out to Martin's part of the world. And who are the landowners out there? Is that the 4K?
4K.
And
the Davises. And
Rosin? Okay.
There's another one, Yancey, I believe.
Okay, so like we do, you know, the only reason we enter into these economic development agreements with these solar places and wind turbines is because they're going to use the county roads and they got the same right to use them as I do, you do, and anybody else does. And unfortunately, my little pickup truck might damage the road, but their trucks are going to destroy the road overnight. So instead of incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars in road damages, we work with these companies to get these agreements as a predicate upon which we will give you any kind of incentive. And I didn't call it incentives. It's a 312 abatement agreement is what it is. So that being said, we have negotiated through our attorneys, Mr. Holmes, this agreement, and we feel that it's right and proper to bring it to you. On a side note, I will tell you, this is probably one of the best organizations we've dealt with yet. Because these guys drove these roads. We have film of all these roads. They sent and it's not just county or state roads that they're using too for this project. They had sent their engineers out, did assessments of bridges, did assessments of culverts. I think we know more about those roads than we did when we started this. And there's going to be some spots where they're going to have to widen it. But the best part is we now have a base. This is what the road looked like when we started. And it's never going to be any worse than that under these contracts. So what I got to in front of you today is a road use agreement with Hill Solar One LLC. And it is asked that the court approves that agreement. Thoughts?
I think that's a good deal. Well, I talked to the guy yesterday, the farm that was winding up. they had over 5,000 trucks, and he told me they might have north of 15,000 trucks come down the road.
15,000 trucks.
And then, of course, all their people, the other one had like 350 people working every day out there. So then you've got an extra 350 cars going up and down it, and
I remember you taking me out there. It looked like a layer of 2-inch talcum powder on the road.
oh, yeah, it was, and the trees were all white.
Mhm.
There wasn't any green on any of them, so.
How long is that section of road that they'll be responsible to repair?
I will say it's probably 3.5 to 4 miles.
Pretty sizable portion of
I mean,
road.
it's a huge, it goes from 934 all the way down to Forest Point.
Mhm.
And probably one of the side roads, if they take it, will be 5 miles. It just depends. They're still trying to decide the exact final road for somebody.
Is there any bridges?
But
No, not on
they
us.
told me they were,
On the state's part, there is. They identified some on state roads, but not on county roads.
they told me they were gonna put metal plates over some of the culverts so that they didn't damage them.
Crash on them.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Mhm.
So,
We have a motion, and a second to approve road use agreement with Hill Solar One LLC. I believe we've already previously set up reinvestment zone, done all the tax abatement agreement with these folks. This is the last key to this. So any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good to come now. Number 13, discussion action on setting a hearing regarding creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C 312 of Texas Property Code for Lettusaw LLC. We were approached by this group a couple years back. This group has a 313, they're telling me, with Hillsborough Independent School District. This is what we call the Duke property, and that may not be anybody else, but it's west of town, south of 22. It's farmland out there going to Peoria. So.
Mr. Crumpton's area.
Mhm.
Right across from my,
Oh, boy. Well, you know.
right across from my property.
So all I'm asking for today is, I'm not asking for any action other than this. I want to set a hearing at the last meeting in May, so the public has a chance to comment. If we need to do anything, we don't need to do anything on this. Okay, we have a motion and a second to set a hearing on the last regular commissioners court meeting in the month of May 2023. Specifically, that date will be the 23rd day of May 2023. And we'll get the notice out in the paper and all that kind of stuff. So
The good thing, when people come and talk about it, we can tell them Commissioner Crumpton voted to have one next to his house.
I don't think that's gonna make anybody any happier.
Yeah.
There's accuracy in them agreements there, son. All right, so I'll call the question. All in favor of setting the hearing, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. All right, well, we're gonna go down through 14, 15, and 16, and these are all in regards to Post Oak Water Supply. And we have helped them apply for a community block development grant, CDBG. So what they're asking is a couple actions they need our assistance with today, and that's discuss or take possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the submittal of a 2023-24 Texas CDBG application to the Texas Department of Agriculture, committing matching funds, agreeing with comply with the programmatic requirements, and adopting and reaffirming civil rights policies. None of those give me cause for concerns except for the matching funds. Will you tell me who's paying for those? Yeah. Okay, just clarification on that. As I told you guys out front, we're not any monetaries here whatsoever. We're just acting, if you will, I hate to use the word agent, but it's kind of what we are in this matter to facilitate this request. We've done this for many other water supply companies, and it's no different. So that I'll ask your approval on this resolution. You have a copy of said resolution in your packet. And these resolutions, there's two of them here, actually. The first one, I don't want to read the entirety of it, but it lays out contingent upon the award, the SUC responsible for payment of local matching funds in the maximum 10,000 in any approved crossed over roads should they occur during construction. So it's laid out in writing. Hey, they're going to be parties that are responsible for this. Okay. All right. This is the first resolution. We have a motion. The second is the questions on this. If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? The second resolution is a resolution of the Commissioners Court of Hill County, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas CDBG grant program application, Texas Department of Agriculture for the Community Development Fund. And this goes through a bunch of recitations about federal law, when things were created at the beginning of time, and goes forward that we will basically going to apply ourselves all federal standards, which we have done in the past. Anytime we've done these, this is nothing new. Basically, we're not going to go out and do anything wild with the money. So further stated, that Hill County is committing $10,000 to be paid by Post Oak Special Utility District as a cash contribution towards administrative activities of this water improvements project. So again, they're on the hook for the finances.
This is a new well.
No, I think this was infrastructure. Go ahead. You know better than I do.
Sure thing, I'm just, introduce myself, my name is Wesley Taylor, we're helping, the son apply for the grant from the Texas Department of Agriculture, with the county, hopefully simply serving as, right? But that is, for water improvements within the sun, they are also trying to get some new, folks that they're on. It's all water line improvements, about 19,000 a year.
Yeah, I'm glad that. Well, I'm glad they're being proactive about it. I know that we have a lot of small water supply systems that are in a state right now that they don't have the ability to add new customers. They've not had the necessary improvements for the infrastructure. I think it came quicker than they anticipated. So.
Absolutely, a lot of it gets their stock when you're about how much it costs at a time.
Yeah, you get some phone calls in this office occasionally. So yeah, I'm not in charge of that, fellas. Think anyway.
Well, I do have a signed memorandum of understanding that I just got last night from the.
Bring it on up.
The last page of the
Okay.
last night.
Yeah. Not a problem. So let's do this. We have a motion and a second on the second resolution. Okay. What's that?
I don't have a second.
That's okay. Any further discussions on the second resolution? And again, this is just simply reaffirming the policies that we're going to have a citizen participation in grievance procedures, excessive force policy, fair housing policy, section 504 policy, grievance procedures, and code of conduct policy. All things we already adhere to. So it's not asking anything extra. So I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. So going on, then there's a second resolution. Well, where'd my memorandum of understanding go? I must have shuffled the deck on myself here. If you've got that, bring the whole document up here, because I must have left it. Got it on the desk in there. So thank you. So we have before us this memorandum of understanding for the community block development. Nope, there it is right there. Cool. Is this just a photocopy of the signature?
It is.
Okay, can we get an original? Okay, well, what we're going to do is the purpose of this, we'll just get a copy of this countersigned from them originally, please.
Absolutely.
Thank
Scan goes in the online portal.
Okay. Good deal. All right. All right, and then number 14, discuss and take possible action to approve a resolution authorizing submittal of it. Oh, no, forgive me. Number 16, I jumped ahead of myself or behind myself. Discuss and take possible action to approve an interlocal agreement with the Post Oak Special Utility District regarding the 2023-24 CDBG project. What do you guys got in mind?
Towards the interlocal agreement, SUD would like to bear the responsibility for the improvements after construction is completed. Anything like construction change orders or upsizing or downsizing of the project that needs to be agreed on between the county and SUD restoration of construction improvements.
Okay.
Memorandum of understanding. Also, kind of keeping that in mind in terms of cost related to the project, all costs related to the project. In terms of construction, administration, engineering, going out to bid, advertising, or going out to bid.
All the things we don't want to do. Okay. Do we have proposed of the interlocal agreement? Do we have a proposed form of that interlocal agreement?
It is the memorandum.
Oh, it's the,
We use memorandum first. And interesting.
Okay, so what I've got in front of me though is 3 action items. One is the resolution, one is the resolution for submittal of the grant, which is boom. And number 2 is discussing, take action on approved resolution designating authorized representatives in matters pertaining. And then number 3, discussing and take action on interlocal agreement with these. So the memorandum of understanding, we have agreed to that previously. You're thinking it was discussed and approved resolution. So we've got the aforementioned resolutions. Do we need that 3rd item? Because I don't have anything to go with it in front of me. Am I missing something?
The 3 items are just the one authorized resolution, community resolution name authorized signatories and all matters pertaining to the grant.
Yeah,
And number 3, I think that's.
So there could be 3 resolutions.
The miscommunication with interlocal agreement and memorandum.
correct. Exactly. Because the second resolution we approved, and it's also the resolution is contained within the MOU. It should have been 2 separate items instead of 3, is what it sounds like to me.
So this is gonna be both of those last.
It's going to be both of those. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and approve the memorandum of understanding as an interlocal agreement between the Post Oak Special Utility District regarding the 2023-24 CDBG grant. Yeah, motion second. Any further discussion? If not, I got a question. When does the grant due? May 3rd. Okay. And any idea on scoring nowadays? I mean, you guys think you're going to rank pretty high in the scoring or?
We do think. One of this water improvements per kind of application for the 60 in a very long time. There's a 200 possible points in this grant application cycle. We think they're going to come in at 185 points.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty high. If they're not the first round, it's the 2-year cycle for the CPG. I think they're going to be a first year project, not a second year project. So I think they're going to be very high.
Okay. And this isn't just engineering money. This is engineering and construction money you're going after.
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. In which case, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Number 17, discussion and approve a preliminary plat from May Spring subdivision. We had a plat meeting earlier this week, or last week, I should say, productive. May Spring is about the Woodbury community. And what they're talking about here is a total of 5 lots. It meets our requirements for preliminary plat. We have run it through the development committee and they recommend the approval from the commissioner's court. So second, and this is in Jim's precinct and Jim is aware of it and we have spoken with him. So, all right, motion is second to approve preliminary plat. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Any abstentions, motion carries. Number 18 and 19 both kind of follow the same thing. As you may be well aware, we have for years provided space in one of our buildings for the Children's Advocacy Center. They have a memorandum of understanding between ourselves and them, and their working protocol guidelines and their amendments to those. It's been a while since we brought these back before the court, so I thought we need to go ahead and do this. Basically, the Advocacy Center for Children is one of the few resources we have to help us with child victims of sexual assault and sexual crimes. They do immensely important work in our community because these things happen here. If we do not have them in our community, we have to send them to Waco. And I will tell you from experience, the reason I advocated to get them here years ago is because it's hard for people in certain socioeconomic classes where this seems to happen more often to get down to Waco. That being said, they've been a great partner. Just occasionally we have to enumerate what we do between each party in writing. They operate largely on grant funding and fundraising down at the Advocacy Center. And so they have their protocols. Again, this protocol is nothing that gives me pause for concern. And it talks about what its mission is on page 1. And I will not read you all 19 pages of the document. But the mission is outlined by the Texas Family Code is to minimize re-victimization of children and protect family members as they go through the investigation, assessment, intervention, and prosecution process. And 2, to maintain a cooperative team approach to facilitate successful outcome in both the criminal and child protection systems through shared fact-finding, strong collaborative case development. We work very closely with these people to put some bad people away. And I ask that you gentlemen, will first under item 18, approve a memorandum of understanding with the Child Advocacy Center.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. The second is discuss and or action on multidisciplinary team working protocols and guidelines for the Children's Advocacy Center. That's that 19-page document you got. And it simply goes through, hey, how do we conduct ourselves? Because we are dealing with children and some of the most vulnerable children in our society. We have some rules we lay in place and we will conduct ourselves. I understand most people in this room will never have interaction with Child Advocacy Center, and God, I hope you don't ever have to. But they're there when we need them. So, okay, motion and a second to approve the multidisciplinary team working protocols guidelines for the Children Advocacy Center. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. And
They will have a nice facility in the new remodel building.
they really are. So that's one of the things in phase two, you know, as we're moving forward in construction. I need to fill out top of those, but we're moving forward in this construction. The Child Advocacy Center is getting a new set of offices in the Covington Street Annex. There'll be much, this is designed purpose offices, to just put them somewhere. We're redoing the forensic interview room, which is a very important tool for our prosecutors. So trying to make it a little easier for those folks and keeping those offices here. Now, to alleviate any concerns, we have rented back the space and we can rent it almost to the end of the year at the Franklin Street. So the space that they were currently in, even though we've sold Franklin Street, we're renting that space. We expect to be done with this project well before our last opportunity to rent that space. There should be no problems with continuity of service. So, all right. And so we've got that approved, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, pursuant to Texas Government Code Chapter 551071, the Hill County Commissioners Court will convene in the executive session for consultation with attorney regarding contemplated litigation. If we could, I'll ask everybody to clear the room. This shouldn't take too very long, and then we can come back and finish up our agenda, which will be any meeting, action necessary of that.